Hello, everybody. This is Alma Love Books. I'm your host, Alma, and welcome to my reading corner. Today, I'm going to talk to you about book versus movie. And the book/movie I'm going to talk about is one of my all-time favorites, Practical Magic. I love this movie. I've loved this movie for as long as I can remember. Actually, probably not that long. But let's get on it, shall we? The movie adaptation came out in 1998. And sweet little 10-year-old me fell absolutely in love with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman as Jillian and Sally, respectfully. This movie shaped a good portion of my childhood. It was just that magical movie that I needed at that age. I remember having sleepovers with a particular friend of mine, and I'm pretty sure we both still have this movie memorized along with Parent Trap. So the movie follows Jillian and Sally after their parents die. They move in with their aunts, Jet, and... oh my god, why can't I remember? Either way, they're played by Diane West and Stockard Channing. So, the movie follows mainly Sally as she tries to be normal in a life that isn't normal. She and the rest of her family have the gift of magic. And one of the quotes from the movie that has stuck with me for a very, very long time is the one that Stockard Channing says after Sally exclaims that she just wants to be normal. And she says, "Being normal is not necessarily a virtue. It rather denotes a lack of courage." And because I'm not conventionally normal, I have a lot of issues. I was made fun of a lot for not being what society needed me to be. That quote really stuck in me and made me feel like, maybe I wasn't as weird as my non-normal self wanted me to believe. So anyway, the movie follows Sally as she gets the normal life that she wanted with a husband and 2 kids. And then her husband dies. The Death Watch beetle that watches over their family finally got to him. And so Sally goes into this deep depression, can't get out of bed. Her sister comes and pulls her out. Then it follows a bit of Jillian's story, and Jillian had moved out of the town in Maine, and she found a place where her family name was not known, so that negative connotation in the town that she lived in wasn't there. And she found her normal through a guy named Jimmy Angelov. And this leads her into a relationship with him. He turns out to be an abusive prick. So he hits her. She calls Sally for help, and Sally rescues her, basically. Sisterly love pulls Sally to Jillian, and in the process of leaving Jimmy kind of, I want to say, kidnaps them. In a sense, he puts a gun to Jillian's head, tells Sally to drive the car, and just drive. So in order to save Jillian's life, Sally accidentally overdoses Jimmy on belladonna, which subsequently kills him. He dies. And then they bring his body back to the house, find a spell in the Book of Shadows on reviving life. Sally at first was like, no, I'm not okay with this, because the ants are right. If he comes back, he'll come back as something dark and unnatural. And Jillian's basically like, no, Jimmy is dark and unnatural. So there's no big deal in bringing him back as dark and unnatural. They agree. They do the spell. He comes back to life. Jillian goes over to him, and he's like, I want you to be my wife, and he's strangling her, and there's an altercation, and then Sally again kills him, takes a frying pan to his head, and just bashes him with it. Enter a detective later on to find out what happened to Jimmy Angelov, and Sally's like, yeah, I killed him. I killed him twice. There's a bunch of sisterly love, like, altercations going on, because Sally's like, you put me in a very difficult spot, because now I've got this detective, and I had a normal life, and I wanted that normal life. So Jillian ends up possessed by Jimmy, and she almost dies because she's possessed by Jimmy. So Sally enacts the phone tree, which is a parental spider web in the town that they live in. So she enacts the phone tree, and she gets a bunch of women together, and they exorcise Jimmy out of Jillian. And the movie ends with Jillian, Sally, the aunts, and Sally's two daughters, Antonia and Kylie, jumping off the roof of the house. They're in umbrellas and the typical witch outfit, because that's the stereotypical view that they've got. And then you have the book. It still follows Jillian and Sally, but in a different light. Jillian and Sally don't know that the ants are actually witches, and so they spend their whole life trying to figure out, okay, what's going on with these two. They're tired of their family name being squashed. They both manage to leave town. Sally still ends up married. She has two daughters. In the movie, Kylie is the older one. Kylie's the older one, and Antonia is the younger one. In the book, Antonia is the older one, and Kylie is the younger one. They move to New York and barely speak to the ants until the very end, when they call upon their aunts to help them dispose of Jamie's body. In the book, it watches Sally's daughters grow into teenagehood. So in the movie, they're still kind of preteen age. In the book, Kylie is, I think, 16, and Antonia is, oh my goodness, 13. Yeah, Kylie is 13, Antonia is 16. And it follows their life as well. So it was interesting to see the dynamic between the movie and the book. For those of you who don't know, the book is by Alice Hoffman, who is the author of The Dovekeeper's Daughter. So, Kylie and Antonia don't know about their great aunts and what they do. Jillian ends up being the one that kills Jimmy in the book. She kills him and brings the dead body to Sally's place in New York to help to get rid of the body. The body, however, I don't know, has like some sort of spiritual thing around it and ends up growing a gigantic lilac bush. So eventually, Sally starts chopping down the lilac bush because she's like, oh my god, he's getting to us. He's getting to us through these lilacs. In the book, or in the movie, it's roses. They finally call upon their aunts, who make up a mixture of lye and a bunch of other ingredients that they use in making their soaps, but much more potent. And that helps get rid of the body. I know that there is a prequel to Practical Magic, and I really want to read it, but I don't know what it is called. If anybody does, please comment down below, let me know. Anybody else watch this movie or read the book? Please let me know your thoughts, because I would love to hear what you think of Practical Magic movie versus book. Thank you for joining me today. Have a lovely one.